this looks good.
Oh my god, this is delicious.
I definitely want to taste that.
All right, and now we're moved into our plate of the day. So finding balance, a conversation around healthy work-life balance for people of color. So this is a conversation that I feel like is recurring, and it's super important because I don't think we've quite gotten the science down yet about how to, live our work lives, be successful, not lose your job, but still keep your head on. I do think that a lot of that does have to do with companies that still haven't caught on to this concept of giving their employees the free will to practice their work-life balance. I consider myself very, very privileged in the company that I work for, that they allow me to do things like working from home and like, oh, we're in every city, so if you're in a different city, you don't have to use vacation days, just work out of the WeWork. Like little things like that really make it easier for me to start achieving other things. But not everybody works in these places, and I think that while the institutions that we work at play a role in the lack of self-care, I think there's some generational curses, guys, that we have that are deeply ingrained in us that also stop us from taking the agency to demand the space to have that work-life balance, because we always feel that something is at risk. Naturally, we're people of color, so we feel pressure on our shoulders every day. But I'm a little curious. Can you tell me a little bit about what type of work etiquettes you guys were taught growing up from the generations before you?
Still to this day, my grandmother tells me when I'm about to take vacation, like, pero tu trabajo sabe, like your job knows. I'm like, I am allotted.
Right.
like I'm not a workhorse.
But she thinks I am. She feels like as long as you're living, you should be working.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that doesn't even make sense. And this is why you have all these elements as an older person right now, right? So I just feel like it's just work, and I don't understand where this concept of nobody, because growing up I seen my family that were older have like a great lifestyle. So for that pressure to be put on us, I don't know exactly where it came from.
But it is stifling a little bit. Do you find yourself ever like hearing what they have to say and like thinking twice, like, oh shit, are they right?
No, never. I'm actually the one who's educating them. Like my mom was working at her job for 18 years.
Wow.
And I'm the one like telling her, like, learn a new skill, like make yourself marketable, like don't rely on them to give you your next opportunity, take it. So I'm very empowered, and like I'm not taking no BS from, like, if this is not fitting for me, I'm moving on. But whereas it's like, if it's not fitting, they want you to conform for it to fit.
Right,
and
right,
I'm
right.
not here for that. And so, like, these are the arguments we constantly have, because they feel like I'm doing too much. And I'm like, no, I need more people to start taking these actions, because it's about self-care.
Yes, absolutely. And I wonder if some of that comes from, I always like, in my constant fight with my family and stuff, like they tell me, oh, you go to school, you go to work dressed like you're going to school, like in high school. Like, why are you dressed like a high school student at your job? You're going to lose your job. And I'm like, if y'all saw all the motherfucking leadership here with their little T-shirts and they sneakers, you know what I mean?
It's just a different culture.
It's a different time. It's not even called a different time. And I just don't understand. Because for my mom, she worked being behind a computer day in, day out. And there's sometimes she's struggling for how to do something on the internet. And I'm just like, to some degree, I feel like there's not accountability of like, I need to learn something so that I catch up with the times. They want to operate how they did 15 years ago in this space. And it's just like, you need to grow.
Yes.
It doesn't work anymore. And they want it to work, or they don't understand like why I'm trying to change it around. Like, the times have changed.
Yeah. No, that's a really valid point. What about you? What did you hear growing up?
So I'm same thing. Our moms are very similar.
They are. Latina moms.
Oh God, we talk about it all the time. We're like, my mom, she is 36 years at her job, and it was the first job she got when she came to this country. It's all she knows, whatever, right? But I will say, my mom, I am proud of her in the sense that she has moved around in her job, and she has learned a couple different things. But my mom's mentality is definitely workhorse. It's more like, it's like taking vacation. What does that look like? And like not going to work when you at 9, you're supposed to be there. And like, how are you dressing? And like and whatever. And anyone that knows me in my life knows I have issues with jobs. I've left every single job I've had at some point. I do not stay at jobs longer than 3 years. I don't even think I've stayed at the job 3 years. And I'm a creative, so I'm always freelancing, contracting. Like, my mom was like, what is that? Like, what is that going to ultimately mean for you? And I'm like, it's going to ultimately mean whatever I want it to mean. You know, that's the type of life I'm living. My mom doesn't get it, though. My mom still thinks I'm crazy. She still doesn't understand my job. She doesn't understand the podcast. Like, she doesn't get it. But it's more about us being able to create the life we want. And I tell her all the time, as opposed to a life that I'm supposed to be born into and live in a box like she does. And it's fine for her because she's living her life. But, like,
she's gonna have Social Security. I'm not.
She gonna have She living her life, and I'm proud of her for that because again, different code, different generation, right?
Like that's their success
wonderful. But now we're trying to make more than that. Like, we're
and
trying
the
to
definition change. Like the playing field is so different. It's not even
so
about
different.
It being even. It's like it's so much more ideas and what could come out of that was so limiting to them. So I just don't understand how they haven't been enlightened, you know, like to want to see all these things happening. And I mean, I'm sure some have, but I'm just speaking from like the point of view of what's around me, because I'm sure other people have made strides. But from my experiences, it's just like they kind of keep themselves in a box. I don't know if it's out of safety and like
that has safety, security, stability, all of that.
Right. And then I think also, and Skittles, I think maybe you can relate to this a little bit, as having a really close relationship with your mom and having her advise even on career stuff, is that there's also this notion, and I think heavily for me being first generation Dominican, that if you fail, it is also the failure of your parents, and because you don't want your parents to feel like they have failed, especially when they're as supportive as Skittles' moms, as my parents are, that then you feel that pressure. So you end up doing things like staying at a job longer than what you really wanted to. You know what I mean? You end up not taking that risk and, you know, making certain decisions because of that. Skittles, do you want to speak a little bit on that?
I sure do.
And it was funny because I was telling y'all when you got here that I recently made my non-corporate girls move in terms of like that I made that drastic decision of leaving teaching and like, pursuing my own. So
he has
joined the academy. No, so in August I quit my full-time teaching job, and there were a ton of things that went on at the school. A lot of shit went down, and I was kind of giving you guys the scope in detail of what went down. And you asked me what was the what was the final straw, because even though all that stuff happened up until June, I didn't quit my job until the last week of August. And it was talking to my mom, because my mom had been the biggest cheerleader, supporter, but also putting on this kind of expectation of like, oh, you know, I want you to follow your dreams. I want you to follow your dreams, but you can also have this consistent paycheck with this time off and this, you know, these benefits and this and that, because I want you to have a paycheck and I want you to be consistent. But do your creative thing, but I want you to do this. And that was always kind of like my inner battle was like, I felt like I could not leave because that's what she was telling me I needed to do, or that I could do. And, you know, it wasn't until all that shit went down that I finally just had this conversation. And I've had been having the conversation with her so that she knew that it wasn't a new thought. But finally it was just a conversation where I literally said, I feel like I need to rip this Band-Aid off. Like, I feel like I need to quit, even though I don't have a backup job, even though I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be doing, even though this is the craziest and scariest decision I have ever made, and even though it's not what you want, and I'm not, like, the plan was to get tenure as a DOE teacher, leave, because when you get tenure, you can come back, you know? But, you know, shit happens, and that didn't happen, and I was at a point where I needed to leave. And all of my friends were telling me I needed to leave, the universe was telling me I needed to leave, like, and it wasn't until that conversation that I finally...
But see, that's going back to your question, that's self-care.
Right.
Like, you
And
did what you did for you.
So, yes, exactly. And while you were talking about the differences in generations and how we have, like, this value, and you were saying how, like, companies don't value that.
Right.
First off, the DOE's not giving teachers shit. Like, people like to say, oh, well, you have weekends and you have the summer. That's not shit when it comes to dealing with 200 students and their parents.
Right.
Like, you know, so as a teacher, you gotta work that out. Yeah, are you gonna take that vacation, or are you gonna invest in, like, trying to save up for a home, or maybe going to grad school so you can make more money and stuff like that. So you get into that mindset and you're like, workhorse.
Yeah, it's like a hamster wheel.
Right.
This idea that this idea that, and for some teachers, that works for them. They want to be a teacher and it's satisfying and that. But for someone who didn't really want it in the beginning, it's hard. But then I quit the job, and 4 days later I had another job.
Right.
Boom. Because the
Lucky and
universe
blessed.
always
Two
provides.
days later, they had a new music teacher.
Right.
Just
So
like that,
life
you
went
get
on.
rid of
Life went
And
on.
life went on.
Right.
So, and I feel like, I said all that to say, I feel like now at 29 years old, I'm learning the work-life balance and the, doing stuff for yourself.
Yeah, like
Right.
what makes you happy? What do
And
you
doing stuff for
enjoy?
what makes you happy.
Right. So what are some of your best practices, ladies, that keeps you sane while working in these environments?
Well, I first want to say that it is a work in progress.
Yes.
This balance, right? This work-life balance. I think that sometimes you're successful at it and it's going well. I think sometimes you mess up and, you got to keep trying to find your rhythm. And it also depends on everything happening in your life.
Right.
Jobs, etc. For me, I struggle a lot because I go through this, I have my ups and I have my downs. But I think for me, I have to stay grounded, and some things I do are like obviously meditation, which is really helpful, but really just breathing, because I realize that my anxiety, which is weird, like my anxiety has increased since I've gotten older, which is weird. Since I gotten older and became an entrepreneur, it's like weird. So I have all this anxiety, and I just have to breathe sometimes because it helps keep me grounded, but also just knowing who I am and knowing what I'm looking for, especially working in jobs or fields that may not be our end all be all, and we know that there's something else happening. Just it's constantly keeping each other motivated and accountable for that is really helpful. And just with friends and family and whoever, just having that support system, because it gets hard not to be bogged down with the day-to-day of life. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though you're like, I meditate, do yoga, whatever.
Right.
Sometimes that don't work.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's all about the intention you put behind it, because the spiritual reader who I follow, her name is Vida. Like, Vida always talks about, certain things are just tools, but what is a knife until you pick it up and stab someone, right? It's just a thing that lays there. So a yoga class is just a yoga class if you're just taking it, but you're not really focusing. Meditation is just meditation if you're just sitting through, but you're not really focusing in during that meditation and setting intention. So to say you did those things because commercially they sound like the right things to do aren't self-care. And I'm so glad you said that, because that was the point I was going to come to, is that self-care looks different for everyone. And sometimes meditation is I truly believe my mom's meditation is when she could turn on her church music and start cleaning. And I know cleaning itself is an act, but because for her it is something she does enjoy doing, and she's thinking and she's singing and she's just releasing in that moment, and it's just her and her mop and her music during that time. That is her meditation. For some people, some guys, it's video games. I've come to terms with all the boys I've dealt with in my life. I've come to terms with the fact that sometimes when they are sitting in front of that screen, they're not just ignoring me for 2K. They are really that is their moment of just
to not think of anything that's real life
and just to release. And even when, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, my self-care is my creative work, but there's work. The word work is involved in that. And so be conscious how much of it is actual meditation and how much of it is actual work. And do you need to add an additional hour of your day, or maybe just 3 hours a week, right, where you're literally committing back to yourself? Delilah, what are some of your self-care?
Being present. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, I cannot do nothing. And when I walk out of here, I don't have control. I only can control that I'm gonna grab this cup, take a sip, I'm responding to you. Like, I'm looking at you. I'm listening.
Right.
I'm here. Whatever was my issue or problems that I have to deal with, I have to deal with it after this moment.
Right.
So trying to be here kind of like puts you at a check, because it reminds you like you cannot do anything but what you're doing right now.
Right. Yeah.
So that kind of like helps a lot. Like when you feel that chaoticness is like, all right, what is that chaos really helping to solve?
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything, right?
Right.
And then another thing is just being in peace, like with my own thoughts and not having like distraction. Like, I like being alone. I really like being alone. It could be in like pure silence or like just background whatever sound, but like just chilling
With yourself.
Yeah. That recharge.
Yeah, that
So
recharge. Even if it's a
important.
good nap, like
Yeah.
just not having to answer. Don't look at my phone. I don't want to deal with anything.
Netflix and chill.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
Especially when you're like into what we're doing and you have like a presence on social media, just being able to like.
I'm an
throw your phone over
ambivert.
there.
Yeah, like I love being social.
Yes.
But then I noticed that it's too much and I need to back
You
up
have to
because like
recharge.
I don't want to engage anymore. I don't want to.
What was that term you used?
Ambivert.
I've never heard that before.
I've heard it before. It's like when you're an extrovert to a point, and
an
then you
introvert.
need
Exactly.
Wow, that's thank you for teaching me that, because so when you take those personality tests, I often switch from ENFJ and INFJ, like depending on when I take the quiz. It could be either or. And even like in social situations, like even when we were celebrating Skittles' birthday yesterday, I did have something to do, but like there was just a moment where I like literally got smacked, and I was like,
Oh my god.
I have to retreat. Right, like now I have to retreat, you know what I mean? And it just like hits you, and it's not about anything going on, and it is just like internally my emotions go and they pull me out.
Especially when like if you're hosting like family or friends.
That happens very quickly.
That point where you need everyone out of the house.
Oh my god.
And it's a moment. Like it's a moment. Like when I'm ready, everyone gotta go.
Yes.
Like,
and this is why I can only bring certain people into that space, because if you know me, you know when that moment
right.
is.
And
I don't have to
I
make it weird.
My cousins are always like, well, Yanni's checked out, so it's time for us to go. It's time for us to go.
So it doesn't come off as rude. I mean, like, of course, as you get to know each other, you start realizing when those moments are. But yeah, like, it's like there's a threshold.
There is a threshold.
Even in college, I was like that with my dorm. Like, because I was lucky that my last 2 years.
I didn't want the parties happening in my room.
No, that was my back cave.
Right.
You know,
like you want to be able to go somewhere and leave.
Yes.
Which is my favorite thing to do. That's my favorite thing to do.
The exit.
Queen. I'm like, I got 3 hours in me. Then I'm out.
I'm going to the bathroom.
And I'll be the life of the party for those 3 hours.
Oh yeah, total social butterfly.
But when I'm going,
it has a cutoff.
Literally.
That's when Juan comes out.
Right.
Everybody knows Skittles, but Juan is my
alter ego.
He goes in.
My plaid.
And usually that's when the party's over, right? Because everybody's on our energy, so they soaking it all up, right?
Exactly.
And so when we leave, it's like, all right, whose energy is taking it on
Right.
next?
Somebody else.
Y'all was sucking me dry.
Somebody else in. Absolutely. So I want to end with one piece of advice that you guys have for somebody who is currently struggling with their work-life balance and abandoning the deeply rooted things that they've been taught that are sort of keeping them within their cycles.
Be honest with yourself, like what it is that you need. Like sometimes you literally have to verbalize what is it you need, because people don't know that you need that. People want things when they want things, and they assume that you could get it done because this is the behavior and pattern you've shown always, right? But you need to voice that, like, you know what, I can't do this. Know how to manage your time better, because if like you need an extension on whatever, you can voice that. It's all literally communication,
right? Of
when you need to like take a step back and when you can be on go mode.
Absolutely.
You're so awesome. To echo that,
Love a good echo.
Be kind to yourself. I feel like when we talk about self-care, and I'm guilty of this heavy, we often break ourselves down. You know, it's like, damn, I didn't get to do this today, or I should have done that, or maybe I should have fell back, or whatever. Be kind to yourself. Every day is a work in progress. Every day is a new day. Pick it up tomorrow. Like, you may not, you know, you didn't get to do XYZ today. It's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. You get to try again and be better tomorrow. That's it. But be kind to yourself, because breaking yourself down is also not going to solve the problem.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Skittles.
And people don't even I was just going to say, people don't even remember. Like, I know one weekend before I was supposed to finish something and I didn't. And the whole weekend I was like scared for Monday to come because I didn't finish something. And all I did on Monday was like, I need more time. And I didn't need to do that to myself during the weekend.
Right, they were like
you tortured yourself.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I didn't finish it. So it's just like, don't do that. I learned.
I think what I would say, and like I said, I'm still learning, is to be open to trying new tools.
I like that.
I have been trying to work out more, and I realized that I like a certain type of workout, but like talking myself into it is like the big hurdle. So then I decided, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna try a class. And then I went to the class, and I didn't like the class per se, but the studio was great, and I'm open to trying the other classes at the studio. And I wouldn't know the student if I wasn't open, so just be open.
I like
openness.
That. And I think sort of to add on to everything that you guys have all said, it's really just a matter of like patience. Patience with yourself, patience with listening to yourself even. I think that's my biggest hurdle that I'm still growing from, is like my instincts will tell me when I need to slow down, and I ignore, because I'm like, no, I need to get to that end goal yesterday. So if I rest right now, then I'm fucked. So I can't rest, right? So rather than the tortoise and the hare, like if the tortoise and the hare was a real story, I'd be the one. I wouldn't sleep
Burnt
at the
out.
tree. I would have run to the beginning of the race and then been like, oh, I got time to do 3 more races, and rather I never like have the patience to like chill. I need to grow more and more and more and more, and I'm not kind to myself. I am not kind to myself.
And not enjoying the journey.
Not enjoying the journey. Not enjoying the journey. But it is so, and that's my advice, because it's what I am currently struggling with, is that patience. Like, yo, just relax is gonna happen. Let go and let the universe, or like God, or whatever you believe in. And it's really knowing that. Also, like, I really don't have patience for white people these days.
Girl.
So that is like, that for me also is a whole practice of like, well, have patience with the fact, like, I've already decided that this white space is a space I want to be in, and I think I deserve to be in. So like, but also be patient with yourself, and like, if you know that you're in a very white space that doesn't work for you, then have the patience for the time it takes to find another step for you that isn't just rushing out of the current job, but that makes sense for you transitionally, whether it is quitting your job and doing art, or just quitting to go to another like same type of company. But like, be patient with yourself, but also be honest with yourself, be kind to yourself, and be open with yourself.
And don't feel like you have to take on anyone's anything, because it's not your responsibility. That's their problem.
Absolutely.
And if you not feeling the white people in the moment, that's okay too.
That's okay. Yeah.
Y'all all just got so many gems.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for being on. So tell us, where can we find you? Any shout outs you guys have?
Yes, follow us on Non-Corporate Girls. Subscribe to our newsletter.
Yes,
visit our website, www.noncorporategirls.com. You can follow me at Miss Delilah C.
You can follow me at _Aya_brand, and check out our podcast on all streaming platforms.
Absolutely.
Oh, and our merch is dropping soon. So
That little plug right there.
Yes. Skittles, where can they find us?
Well, you guys can find us at Ladies Who Brunch on Instagram, at Ladies Brunch on Twitter, at Ladies Who Brunch on YouTube, and on all your favorite streaming platforms.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and until next time, bronche.